Hey, it's Luke from LT Gaming, and I've got a brand new space sim on my radar that's basically just going to be you and orbital mechanics. Did anything ever sound as good? This is Final Orbit, and the pitch is simple but kind of terrifying. Master a full fidelity cockpit, fly properly in Newtonian physics, plan your burns like you actually care about Delta V, and try not to turn your spacecraft into a very expensive firework. And look, if you enjoy space sims like this, consider tapping that like button for the algorithm, and consider it a quick little engine burn to boost this video into a higher orbit. Final Orbit is a realistic spaceflight sim set in a fictional universe where the core gameplay is actually about flying. I'm playing a lot of No Man's Sky at the moment, but I do understand that need for a more hardcore realistic experience. And there is definitely an audience out there for this stuff. I mean, just look at In the Black and the absolute craziness that happens anytime we release a video on that game. In this title, you're going to be taking off from a planet, getting to space, plotting trajectories between bodies, and doing things like rendezvous and docking without the game doing it all for you. And yes, of course, that's going to come with a level of difficulty. The Steam page, if you want to check it out, leans hard into the master and cockpit idea with orbital mechanics and realistic scale travel, plus a loop built around trading and contracts so you're not just doing test flights forever. For me, that's where this game could be truly expansive and immersive. If they do have that awesome flight model, I'm happy about that, but if they can build on the space sim aspects as well, it could be absolutely awesome. And as I was making this video, Tom messaged me to say make sure we shout out the guy's Discord. Wishlisting the game on Steam is important for these small indie devs, but also being part of their community greatly helps and inspires them to continue the project and get it to completion, so make sure to do that. I'll leave all the details in the description below. So why do I think this is worth a look beyond the obvious? Well, because the genre's been craving more games that sit in that sweet spot between I want real mechanics and I still want a game loop. We all know the great problems with this genre. They can be massive, not very deep, too arcadey, never get finished, or charge ridiculous prices for ships. Let's not even go there. And the projects are very complicated, so we miss these indie titles, and it's great to see them pop up. If they nail it, Final Orbit could be one of those sims where you feel yourself getting better every session. Not because you unlocked a perk, but because your brain finally clicks with the instruments, the burns, and the planning. I mean, I'm saying I'm playing a lot of No Man's Sky, but often I don't have to do a whole lot of thinking when flying in that one, although it is a pretty awesome game. What I do enjoy about this one is it's not trying to be a galaxy-spanning shooter. It definitely looks more local, but it's going for that satisfaction of a clean ascent, a smart transfer, and a tidy dock. And then, of course, getting paid for it all. The big standout here is that cockpit-first design. The dev's goal is almost everything through cockpit displays with very little external UI. Even the planning map is meant to live inside the cockpit rather than flipping you into a separate mode. I mean, that's extremely immersive, even though I use that word a lot. It really feels like that F-35 vibe, but in space, and I think that's going to be really exciting gameplay overall. I mean, in the past I was a big flight simmer in DCS and I have put a lot of my stuff away, but I do understand the need and the fun of this sort of deep level sim. These days I'm a bit more casual, No Man's Sky, X4 and all these different things, but I just don't have the time to get the full setup out anymore. But for this one it might be time to dust it all off, a space sim that finally lets me play with all of my controls. Then there's a time acceleration idea. It's called the zip panel, where zip is pumped into the pilot suit so you experience time compression. It's an interesting concept and an in-lore explanation for fast-forwarding long trips, without pretending that you packed a year's worth of protein bars. Speaking of protein bars, I'm trying to avoid those these days and eat improper food, so yeah, I don't know, let me know in the comments below what you think about that. Now, you know what, I'd rather you speak about the game, so let me know what you think about this game in the comments below and what your thoughts and aspirations are for its future. Importantly, the dev is calling the current footage pre-alpha, and says they're already deep into redesigning planets and terrain to look way better, so visually what you're seeing now isn't the final standard they're aiming for. Just a quick interlude to say most of you who watch the channel are not subscribed, so make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button because it helps smaller channels like us grow really quickly, and both me and Tom really appreciate it. Right, let's get a little bit negative and look at some of the weaknesses here because it's simply a very early title. It's just something we like to do at LT Gaming, so we don't just fluff titles all the time, we give a realistic level of what to expect. The game is really going to live or die on that feeling of flight, how the instruments are, and whether the planning tools are powerful without becoming a spreadsheet. The cockpit-only approach is awesome, but it can also become intimidating fast if the onboarding isn't rock solid. Also, the Steam listing sets expectations already for difficulty and realism, which is definitely exciting for some of the sim psychos out there, but it does mean there's a risk the audience narrows if it leans too hard into work and not enough into play. I'm still not seeing any problems here, Luke. Come on, raise some problems. And because it's not out yet, we still don't know the real depth of the economy, contract variety, progression pacing, or what endgame even looks like beyond getting better ships and upgrades. Now, those concerns aside, let's take a look at some comparisons. If you've never tried it, helium rain is a great point of reference here, and it being free makes it an easy recommendation. It's a solid space sim overall with all the things that you'd want, like doing contracts and actually growing your fleet and economy. Final Orbit feels like it could hit a similar satisfaction loop, picking routes, figuring out what actually pays, and upgrading smart. But with the added bonus that it's super realistic and cockpit-first planning are the main challenge, not just the economy layer. I actually love Helium Rain and I found it very easy to play, though a lot of people struggled with it, so this could also be a massive challenge. Then let's talk about Elite Dangerous. I managed to upset a couple of Elite Dangerous channels on the last video when I said some of the content out there is a bit stale. And actually those who commented I wasn't aiming that at. Look, I love all of your content, YouTube's a wonderful place and so many people are friendly to us, if only that was true. Right, let's move on from this topic quickly before I get myself into more trouble. Elite Dangerous is the mainstream comparison here, while in Space Sims it's quite mainstream for the cockpit immersion, the audio, the instruments, the solitude, and that sense of living in your ship. But the actual travel mode is very different, with super cruise and FTL jumps which are built for galaxy scale routine. Final Orbit looks more like here are the rules of real spaceflight, now learn to work within them, so the overlap isn't the gameplay, it's the pilot fantasy. If you love Elite for the seat of the pants cockpit vibe and running jobs, Final Orbit could be the more physics first, skill driven version of that same feeling. And then I'll give a small nod to Flight of Nova, which is one that proves there is a real audience for serious-ish spaceflight that still feels like a game. Final Orbit seems like it wants to push harder into realism and cockpit-only systems. But if you enjoyed Flight of Nova's vibe, this looks like it could be the next step up in terms of challenge and immersion. What I really want from a space sim, especially ones like this, is that feeling of being there. Not just flying a ship, but living inside it. And one of the things I forgot to mention earlier is that this will have full virtual reality support, so it helps with that element. Where the cockpit isn't decoration, it's your world. The screens mean something, the numbers matter. And you start making decisions like a pilot instead of a player looking for the next objective marker. Because the best space sims all do the same magic trick, they make quiet moments feel huge. And I'm gonna say that word again, if Final Orbit can capture that immersion and then back it up with a satisfying reason to keep flying, contracts, upgrades, new ships, new routes, it could end up being one of those games you don't just play, you inhabit. And that is a dream title for me, and I'm sure many others who watch this channel. If Final Orbit comes together, I can totally see this becoming one of those space sims that quietly grabs a certain type of player and just doesn't let go. I'll keep tracking what happens as it develops, and I'll make sure to keep you posted. We've got a ton coming on the channel, from more space sim spotlights, some war games, and everything in between, and we're super excited to bring it to you. Do all that YouTube stuff, keep LT Gaming growing, and I'll catch you on the next one.